I am ready for this.
Illustrations by me.
So I need to clarify something right now. I originally bought this small set here and I called it the Nouveau set, and of course everybody loves to correct me, and they did, and that's fine. This is not the Nouveau set, I am aware of that. But on the listing when I bought it, it said it was. It said there was a 12 set and a 24 set, and they called this the 12 Nouveau set. What it actually is the nuance set. So they call this the 12 color nuance set. And it is the supplemental set to this one, the Nouveau set. I finally have it, and I'm going to do a demo of it. I bought this, I bought two of them because I don't want to... This color palette is one of my favorite color palettes I've ever seen ever in my life. I haven't swatched it out yet, but according to what the colors look like, I would say this is my set for a color palette. A lot of people will not like it. Let me tell you right off the bat. Now, I do not want to offend many of you who are watercolor purists and you always do the watercolor purist thing because you choose to. Because you're deciding, I'm not going to use white, I'm not going to use black, and I'm not going to use many pigments in one color. That's your choice. If that's what you want to do, you do whatever you want to do. It's your choice. No one wants to make you feel bad about it. However, if you in turn make someone else feel bad about using white, using black, or using 37 pigments in one color, that's on you, and I don't care if you feel bad then. That's fine. But everybody gets a decision to do whatever they want to do, however they want to do it. And I want everyone to be happy doing what they're doing. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. If someone else wants to do something different, that's what they do. And when a set like this comes along, I want to make sure that people know not only are they using white and black in almost every color in the whole set, they're using pigments that don't even have real pigment numbers. And they have one color. I think this one has 5 different pigments in one color, and it's beautiful. Just don't worry about it. Do it. Everything is fine. We're gonna go through that. I'm gonna swatch them out. They use some funky colors in here that I've never even heard of, some of them that you'll see. But we're gonna do, and then I will create a piece with it. It'll be beautiful, wonderful. Not beautiful because I did it, beautiful because of the colors that are in it. Let's get into this. I'm gonna go first do the swatch like normal and talk about some of the pigments. And just so you know, in the description, I keep saying this and not doing it until after like half the people have already seen the video and I realize I didn't do it. But I end up doing it eventually. But this time, I'm trying to remind myself. I have it written down. In the description, you will see the pigment database. So you can go in and look at yourself and see what are these pigments. If you have a pigment in a different set you want to look up, right there. They give you so much information. It is so valuable to use. So I will put the link in the description below. Hopefully, it will help you as well. Let's get into this. Look at the colors. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I love it. Okay, let's get into swatching these out a little bit here. Here's our, we're gonna do, so I'm going to use this first, but in the interest of interesting, and that's really what it is, I'm going to use, because these are the giant pans and everybody says, oh yeah, they use these big pans, I'm gonna use a big quill brush on this set when I actually do the painting. You'll see, at least for a part of it I will. But for now, I'm just using the water brush to get this done. So just so you know, again, in front of me, I have the pigment database up on my screen, so I'm not memorizing all these different numbers. Some of these I have not heard of, or not very familiar with. Now, I've heard of them, just not very familiar with them. One of them I've never heard of in my life, and you won't either. But just so you know, that link will be down below. It'll be up on my screen so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, we're starting off with this saffron yellow here. PY1 is the Hansa Yellow G. Now, what I'm used to looking at is the 10G, which is the PY3. Not the case here. That's a beautiful color. Wonderful, beautiful, and bright. That's absolutely wonderful. I don't know if you like the bright yellows, it's a little bit toned down. It's a little bit of a warm yellow, which is why I like it, of course. But often this extra area here, so I'm gonna, let's see here, I'm gonna put a little bit of water here. We're gonna do a little bit of drop in. This is, it's a little bit brighter in the watered out area. It looks more bright yellow, but as it's drying, I'm seeing it turn a little bit darker, but not necessarily a lemon. It's a little bit more warmer than a lemon. Maybe a little bit of green in there. Well, it could be because that PB15-3, now that one I do know, that's a phthalo blue-green shade. So that's in there. I think that's a part of that little bit of a greenish hue almost that's in there. It kind of just dulls it a little bit. But that PY42, you're gonna look at, that's like the, you know, that's your yellow ochre color. So that, from many different companies, that's a yellow ochre. So that's, it kind of gives it that little, so you have a little bit of green, a little bit of darkness to it from the PY42, but that PY1 is going to be like a brighter yellow most likely. Not a bad color if it's something you like, light bright yellows, but just a little bit tinted down, this would be a good one for you. Green gold, not one of my favorite colors at all. I just do not like it. It looks dirty to me. I think it's a dirty color. Then there's, again, here we're gonna go. Just because I said I love the set doesn't mean I'm gonna love every color in the set. It's just to me, it's a dirty color. And you have the dreaded PG7, which is the phthalo green blue shade. The phthalo green is just, I just don't like it, but the PY42 is more like a yellow ochre. So as green golds go, this is not as bad. I don't like the mass tone at all. If you get down here with a little bit more of the watered out part, that's not terrible. I don't think that's a terrible color. It's just probably not something I would use all the time. Maybe if I had to use it for a yellow ochre color, I would just use it a little bit watered out and look at it like that. But that mass tone just looks dirty to me. I don't like it. Okay, now we're gonna get into flax beige. Now I wanna show you something here. So this is I think this is a very nice color. Almost reminds me of like a buff titanium color, but a little bit more, a little bit darker than the buff titanium. But all in all, that's kind of the place, the realm that this lives, is that buff titanium. And that's okay, that's a wonderful thing. With the PR101, the red iron oxide, the PBK11, my favorite black is the Mars black, and here it is, where they've added a black to a color. And I don't see the red either, but it's in there, supposedly. It's in there. Well, some, you know, the PR101, depending on how it's treated, you can get that to lean a little bit to the brown side, so maybe that's what's leaning that way. The PY42, we've talked about 100 times. You go back to the other colors. And the PW6 is a titanium white. So they did add white and black to this one, and I love that color. Now, they get criticized for being too opaque, but they do the white on purpose. It's a traditional watercolor, traditional Japanese watercolor. It's a little bit more opaque. That's how it is. That's how they figure it out. And I enjoy that. I think it's a nice thing that they do. Now, in a crude beige is a little bit just kind of like an off-white. It's not really, it's less than a buff titanium again. It's just an off-white. I'll show you a buff titanium here in a little bit when we compare some colors. But it's just an off-white, like an eggshell color almost, a little bit past that. It's a very pretty color. It's nice to use. So it's very interesting because they use the PB27. That's a Prussian blue. I don't see it, but it's supposed to be in here. Then the PY42, we've talked about that 100. They use a lot of the same colors, a lot of the same pigments in these colors because they're trying to make the palette unified. So that when you do that, you add a couple of the same pigments in there. Just like if you're making a painting unified, you would use like the same color families to kind of blend them together so they don't look so, you know, muddy or whatever. It's fine. This is just, that's just one of the ways you do it, is you make sure that you have the same pigments together. And that's what they've done. Oh, I didn't get to have anything on my brush there. Okay, and of course the PW6 is the zinc white. I mean the titanium white. Now the titanium white, again, to make it more opaque and make it stand out. And that's a good thing for this. So you can use this almost like it's gouache-like because this will sit on top of a darker color as a lighter color. Okay, here we have a pale pink, and that's exactly what that is, a very pale pink. If you're, I mean, almost pastel color like pink. So these are, some of these are going to be pastel, on the border of pastel, but really it's a muted palette, and that's something that I love. I love muted palettes. So you have the PY3, which is, that's the Hansa Yellow 10G. That's the one I'm used to seeing all the time. That's the one that I see in, you know, companies like Daniel Smith use it and things like that. So if you've ever seen a Hansa Yellow light, there it is, the PY3. Then you have your titanium white. This, okay, this pigment no one's ever seen before. 73263-37-3. Let me tell you what it is. First of all, just so you know, it's a red pigment. So anytime you see that number in these sets, it's the only long number like that, but you'll see them. It's all throughout this whole thing. And it's a red color. Now, I want to say it's very close to like a naphthol red or something like that, but when it is, I mean, it's in the name, but let me read to you what this thing actually is. So, all right, just listen for a second. It's chlorohydroxy methoxynyl carboyl. No, that's not right. Let me try that again. Chlorohydroxy methoxyphenyl carbamoyl naphthazole methyl benzosulfonic acid sodium salt. Shut up for a second. Don't just listen. That's what it is. You can just ask any chemist. They'll tell you the same thing. But that's what that is. And it's just a red color, and that has that naphthol in it. It says it right in there. So that's why I think it's basically based on that. I don't know what it is. It's probably their own. They call it a heterocyclic organic compound. It's a red pigment. That's what it is. So just know that it's a red pigment. That's all you need to know. I'm not saying that every time. Just get that right out of your head. I'm never saying that again. That's all I'm gonna say. You can see the white in some of these. I mean, they come out on the paper just completely opaque. Most of their colors, I would just assume, are going to be that opaque because they have the white in them. That's just how it is. But they also, maybe the particles are ground a little bit thicker or bigger or wider, whatever, and it also makes it that way. So here you have your pink again, you have your red iron oxide, and you have, oh, that's the wrong color. I almost dipped it in the wrong color and put it on here. This is that red color, that naphthol red basically color. The PR101, the iron oxide, red iron oxide, and then the PW6 is the titanium white. Very nice color, different colors. It's actually a nice color. I like that pink. It's not too pink. It's like a reddish pink. So I know that sounds kind of redundant saying reddish pink, but it's more of a deeper red. It's a muted red than it is a pink, which is something like this, very bright. Potter's pink. Everybody loves Potter's pink, including me. I think Potter's pink is a very pretty color, and their version of it is a little bit different, a little bit more. I mean, Potter's pink is always opaque. I don't care what brand you have. They're always, but theirs is very opaque, and it's just, you can tell that white is in there. So PG7, I don't see the green, but phthalo green blue shade is in there somewhere. The red iron oxide, and then the titanium white, and there you go. You know, I do not like these warm red colors, but this one is less warm red and more of an orange color, and I like that part of it. It's a little bit more orange. I would use this as an orange, probably water it out a little bit, take some of this off here, and it's a little bit, it's almost like it's a different, it's not red. It's not like an orangey red color. It's a orange color that maybe leans a little red, so that's a little different. So I do like that color. And then you have that PY1 again from up here. That's again, Hansa Yellow, just the G. And then PY6, again, you have, well, the PY6, no, the PY6 is different. We don't had. Do you understand how I speak English? So the PY6 is a Hansa Yellow 3G. So Hansa Yellow has a lot of different ones, 1, 3, 5, 6. They're all Hansa Yellows. And Hansa Yellow, when someone says it's a Hansa Yellow just means it's a bright yellow. That's what it means. All Hansa yellows are a little bit bright yellow. So like this is a bright yellow. So that's what they mean. Okay, I did not do the water thing because I'm so distracted. Okay, let me put some water here, put some water here. And we've got the Potter's Pink first. We'll drop that in, spreads a little bit nicely, wonderful. We have a little bit of the vermilion now, pop it in. Now sometimes vermilion will lean more red. It'll look more like a pyrrole scarlet almost, where it's just a warm red. But this vermilion is very greenish, at least. And I mean, not that a lot of them will look orange, but some of them look more orange than others, that's all. Now, alizarin crimson, this is not real alizarin crimson. They're using that long thing here. They're using that red color, that red pigment, with the titanium white, and then you have the PBK7. Now, the PBK7 is a little different. It is not like the black that we were just looking at. So this is the lamp black, and the lamp black, of course, is a carbonous black. It's from carbon, it's from soot, petroleum, natural gas, that kind of thing. That's where they get that byproduct from, and they use it for pigment. So very pretty color, very beautiful color. I would not call that an alizarin crimson in any other brand ever, anywhere. But that's their brand, and it's very opaque. It's got the white in it. I'm going to show you something. A lot of people are going to say, oh, I don't like, because the white. I'm not a big white person. I don't like the white. That's racist. Don't say that. But they're going to say, I don't like the opaqueness that the white brings to the paint. Now, but I'm going to show you some things that you're going to be able to do with these paints that you can't do with other paints. So just bear with me. I'm going to show you the other painting that I did and remind you of how I used it that way, because there's things you can do with this that you cannot do with regular watercolor, just like there's things you can do with watercolor you will not be able to do with this. So you just have to use the product the way it's intended to use. If you don't enjoy using the product the way it's intended to use, then don't use the product. Absolutely 100%. But if you use the product the way it needs to be used and you enjoy the process, it's worth it. Here's a mauve taupe. Now let me ask you this question, because this is something that I'm going to struggle with. I've always heard that this is taupe. T-A-U-P-E is taupe, like T-O-P-E. The A-U turns into an O. You tell me, am I saying that wrong? Because I say everything wrong. So is it mauve taupe or is it mauve taupe? Taupe. Is it a weird little, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like all of a sudden everybody becomes Canadian. Listen, I already insulted people. I've got to insult everybody. I can't just insult one group. The Canadians know I love them. I really do. They're some of my favorite people. But I think that's a pretty color. So this is a little bit more of a purpley, like a muted purple color, whereas this is more of like a muted pink color. So again, as it's drying, there is some big color shift on some of these as they dry. Very nice. This got more orange, more and more orange as it dries. This is beautiful. This is really becoming a beautiful color here. I'm just going to thin that for a second. I just want to see. Yeah, it gets pretty light. It gets pretty, and it's pretty. It's a very nice color. Now there's old mauve. Now that's ageist. You shouldn't do that either. But old mauve is this purple color, which is really pretty, almost like what I would assume a lilac color would be. I'm saying that word this time too. Did I go back? I did go back, right? So these two are the same pigments. That's why I didn't read all these pigments, because it's the same exact pigment, just treated a little differently, maybe moved to one shade or the other a little bit more, and that's the difference. This one here is a little different. So you have that red color, but then you have a Prussian blue, and then the titanium white. So they use the red and the blue to make this dark, deep, beautifully muted purple, and I think it's a very nice color. I do like that color. I think it's a very nice color. This is my kind of palette. I absolutely love it. Okay, next we have a grayish blue, and I love grayish blues. Look at that color. Oh, that's beautiful. You know, if you do any kind of the folk art stuff, this kind of paint is beautiful for that. It's just a beautiful color palette to use for that. I may do that. I don't know what I'm going to do in this video. Probably not that, because I wanted to show you something very specific. So But I will show you those things. And then maybe another video, I'll do some folk art with this because that's what this set reminds me of. Okay, we have a cobalt turquoise light. Let's see what that looks like. Love the cobalts. It's one of my favorite things. Oh, I didn't go through the other one with the pigment. I will do that. Hold on a second. I'm gonna get to it. I forget things. That's just how I am. So let's head back over this way. Phthalo blue green shade. Then we have the titanium white, and then the lamp black. So that's what they're going with here to get that. And it's a beautiful color. It's drying even more beautiful than when I first put it down. Here we have the PY3, which you're familiar with. It's a Hansa yellow. Then you have the phthalo blue green shade, and a PW6 is the titanium white. So there's no actual cobalt in here. It's just a name to tell you roughly what it looks like. So that's what they're trying to do there. And there you go. Pale aqua. This is another very nice color. Pale aqua, just a light blue, like a powder blue. That's what this reminds me of, a powder blue color. And you have, again, same thing. It's the same formula. The Hansa yellow, you have the phthalo blue green shade, and the titanium white. Just a little bit different, but roughly the same idea. Okay, cobalt. I love cobalt green. I don't see any cobalt green in here, but I love a cobalt green. It's one of my favorite colors from some other sets. So let's see if they can live up to that. And just like with all of them, the colors are a little different. Usually a cobalt green, I'm looking at a darker green, but it also has a lot of granulation and things like that. So for the granulation, I think maybe that's why they put the PR101 in there, that red iron oxide. So you have the PG7, which is the phthalo green. Yep, it's in there. You have the red iron oxide, and I know those. Some of these I do know. Some of them I've used so many times that I just know. So like every color in here, I know these colors here. So you have that, you have the PR101, yeah, I went through that, the titanium white, the yellow iron oxide, which is like the yellow ochre color, and then the Mars black, which is one of my favorite blacks. And you have all these, so 1, 2, 3, 4 different pigments, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pigments if I can count right, in one color. It's a beautiful color, and I bet it acts just like any other green if you mix it with any other color. It doesn't matter that it has all these pigments in it. It's going to work the way that any other green works. Just because there's a lot of pigments in it doesn't really change a whole lot. People like to think it does, and some people are scared to use. I was talking to someone recently who said they're just scared because they ruined a very large piece that they were working on because they took they thought it was because they mixed mud because the paints had too many different pigments in them. On occasion, you may find that, but if you take this green and mix it with another color, it's just like you're mixing a green with one pigment with another color. You might have an opportunity to maybe make it a little bit more muddy or just to contrast with a little bit from some other pigments. But for the most part, as long as you're doing this normally, it's going to be fine. A billard green, don't know what that is, never will, never would even care about it. But this billard green here is a very nice color. Almost like, I guess, kind of like a hunterish green, but in here it just gets a little bit lighter. It reminds me in here a little bit like a jadeite genuine. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying that's what it reminds me of a little bit. I see some granulation happening in here, which is nice. So they have that red color there. It's the phthalo green and a titanium white. So maybe that red, I don't know if it does. Let's see when it dries if there's still a little bit of granulation in it or if it's just the way that it went down on the page. But it could be a little bit of granulation. Sometimes they just ground the pigment a little bit thicker and you can get that effect even though the pigment itself is not used to doing that. You can make things granulate. So, but very nice color. I love that deep green. I like deep greens. There's something that I really like about them. And so far, for greens, we're doing great. You got that cobalt green, that's a nice green, I'd use it. And this billard green, I'd use that. As a matter of fact, I'd use this over that because that's a very nice color. Now we're gonna get into something I hope it does justice to its name. Shadow green. I'm almost put the water straight on there. Shadow green. So I'm picturing a perylene green-ish kind of thing, and that's exactly what you're getting. Oh my goodness, that is beautiful. So let me just clean this up a little bit right there. Just want to see how light that gets. But again, a little bit of granulation there maybe. Yeah, it kind of died out a little bit in here, but yeah, I can still see it. Oh, you can't see it, you didn't use enough water. Yeah, I used plenty of water, I can see it. If you can't see it, that's your problem. So this, absolutely beautiful. This is just like a perylene green, one of my favorite colors ever. And they use a bunch of pigments to get it, and I'm fine with that. So this perylene green, or this what they're calling a shadow green, they're not calling it perylene green, there's no perylene green in it. But what this is that red, long red color thing here, and then you have the phthalo green, and you have the titanium white. Now a lot of these are using the titanium, yeah, it's not a titanium green. A lot of them are using the phthalo green, and I don't like the phthalo green, but I absolutely love these colors I'm looking at. So this is once in a rare while you'll get a set where I actually like the greens in it. And so far we're doing well. Let's see if it changes right here. And oh, you bet you sweet jack-o'-lantern it did. This is definitely not something that I would like. This is not a color that I would use most likely on anything, unless I was doing maybe a highlight somewhere, trying to lay down something very light, because I don't like the yellow greens, and that's what you have here. You have the diryolide yellow here, you have the phthalo green, and then you have the white, and it's just not my thing. I just don't like those colors. There's nothing wrong with the paint, it's just that I don't like the colors. Okay, let's see what they do with this ivy green. A lot of greens in here, so wow, that's just right on the freaking border for me. So if you were to say, do you normally like this color? Not normally, but it's almost to the spring green, but it's not quite there. I think it's dull enough and muted enough that I still can use that color there, and I would use that color over the other color for sure. So that's definitely what we're looking at here. Did that even go in there? It did. Okay, so not bad. Not bad. Of all the greens, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 greens here. There's 5 greens, and out of all of them, I would use 4 of them. That's not bad. That's a good track record for any company, because I normally don't do that. You know, if you watched any of my other ones, any of my other swatch outs, I do not like all the greens that they usually use. So that's not bad. Now here's a green gray. Okay, we got one more. It's a green gray. And I do not usually like green grays. I don't know why, I just don't. Oh, but that's not a green gray. That's, I don't know entirely because I haven't really used it that much, but almost looks like an undersea green, almost. Almost. Don't hit me in the head with a rock. I understand it's not exactly like that, but it reminds me of that dark mossiness that you would see on that kind of a color. And I would use that. So now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different greens, and I would use 5 of them. But I'd probably narrow it down, of course. I would probably not use that many in one piece. But anyway, very impressed by this set and their use of greens. I'm not a green, I don't like all the greens usually. Now what I need is some earth tones. So let's get into the beige gray. Nice color. Similar to some of the other ones that are up top. We'll go through them a little bit, but especially this one here, just this is a little bit more brown, and this is just a little bit more gray, but it says beige gray. Can't fault it for doing what it says. Well, that was, I don't know if I had anything on the brush there. Okay, so things don't move around as much as you think, but that's okay. I'm going to show you some things here. Look at how nice that dried. That nice and the light pink. Okay, that's one of my favorite colors in the whole set. It just, I don't know why. I don't like pinks normally, but in all of their sets, their pinks are just beautiful. You ever hear that Aerosmith song, Pink is my favorite color? It's not, but it could be in this set. Okay. Yellow brown, let's see what we're doing here. So this is, yeah, this is a yellow brown. That's a good description, yellow brown. You just hit it right on the head there. I'm not a big fan of yellow browns. I think they look a little bit dirty again. Just not a fan of them. I love a good yellow ochre, but when it comes to the yellow browns, just not my thing. So I like the earthy yellows, but not, that's a little bit too much. You see a little bit too much yellow coming out. Now, I didn't go through any of these colors. Okay, let me swing back here for a second. I've mentioned these colors before. I've mentioned most of these pigments before. I'm going to run through them real quick again because I didn't. I skipped over them. So you have the phthalo green, you have the yellow iron oxide, which is like the yellow ochre, and titanium white. Then that's what you got here. Then for the green gray, again, beautiful color, really nice color. You have the phthalo green, you have the red iron oxide, you have the Mars black, and then you have that same yellow iron oxide. So beautiful color. I don't know how they're getting some of these colors by mixing in some of the paints they are, some of the pigments they are, but they are, and they're beautiful. Here's the beige gray. We have the PY3, which is another Hansa yellow. The PR101, that's the red iron oxide, the Mars black, the yellow iron oxide, and then the titanium white. So just kind of shifting some colors around and getting a completely different idea here than you'd get out of something else. So this one you just have the yellow, and this one you have the green, but that much difference is what it does. Then here you have that yellow brown, you have the red iron oxide, you have the Mars black. I love that they keep using that. I love that black. And then you have the PY42, which is the yellow iron oxide. So it actually dried a little bit darker than what I thought it would, and I think I could use that. I think I would be able to use that just fine. So I take it back that I can't use that, especially maybe mixing these two together might give me that brown that I'm looking for. So. But very nice. I usually like the true browns and the red browns. That's usually what I like. But here, I think I could use that. Okay, now we have a Mars yellow. Now, Mars yellow in Daniel Smith is one of my favorite colors in the entire set, which is more like a yellow iron oxide, more like a yellow ochre. This is not. This is a orangey yellow kind of color. Very different. I don't know what to think about it. PY1 again with that Hansa yellow G, just a standard, and then the red iron oxide. So definitely a nice color. I would use that almost like I would use, almost like if I wanted to go to a rust color, but it's not my favorite necessarily. I love orange, but this orange is a little different. This is a little bit more yellow. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it yet. Let me let it dry a little bit and see how it works, because when this dried, it changed my whole opinion about it. So let's see how it works. And Venetian red. Absolutely love Venetian red. I always have loved the Venetian reds, the Indian reds, just some of my favorite colors. This is more of that red-brown color. Some of the Venetian reds are a little bit more brown. Some of them are a little bit more red. It just depends on how they treat it. Again, I'm going to let that dry because I don't know what that's going to end up doing. But this Venetian red here, you have the red iron oxide, which is always in the Venetian red. It's in there, the Indian red. It's in anything else in that family. And then you have the yellow iron oxide, and then you have the Mars black. So absolutely wonderful. I think it's a beautiful color. I love how it's coming out already, but I'm going to have to let that dry to really appreciate it before I make any more comments. So we'll go ahead. Let me zoom out a little bit. We'll go through some of these. Okay, we were talking about the Hansa yellow, and you see how bright this is next to this. So it's much, much brighter of a yellow. This is a Hansa yellow. This is the PY3. This is the PY1. You'll see, and there's some other PY3s on here, but you'll see this is very, very bright. This is a little bit warmer, a little bit tuned down, a little bit toned down, and it turned less green than I thought originally. So it's more of just the warmer, slightly warmer yellow than the actual Hansa yellow itself. There's the buff titanium I was talking about. This is just about there. It's just, this gets a little bit more concentrated here, a little bit darker brown on the top, but it's basically the same color. So, and this is only a single PW61, that's all that is. So it's just a processed titanium white to get it a little bit more dark, where this has 4 different pigments in it, but still I'd use it the same way. And here's a benzimidazoline yellow from Core, very similar in color here. I just wanted to kick back to this a second because I saw this and I thought, yeah, this like concentrated area up here matches this concentrated area here. So, and I did put these on a little bit thicker, a little bit more concentrated, a little bit less watery because of the way I'm going to use them. I'm going to show you. Now this alizarin crimson here, very similar to this cadmium red deep here. Just a little bit more, there's a little bit more of a bluish tint to it, but very close, very, very close, especially if you're looking at the water out areas here, very similar. And I absolutely love this color. So this is a great color, I love it. That Potter's Pink got very light. It's a lot lighter than when I put it down. So I don't know if it looks more like the Potter's Pink that I'm familiar with. It looks a little bit more beige, a little bit more muted, but it's still a pretty color. I don't think I own an orange that looks like that. So I can't really compare it to anything that I have. I'm looking at not like a transparent pyrrole orange or maybe more like a Perinone. I don't have that color. But like from Daniel Smith, like a Perinone yellow or orange or something like that, where it's a little bit brighter of an orange. It's a pretty color. I'm going to use that. It got a lot more orange as it dried, so I enjoy that. Now these are not even close to the same paints here, but what I want to say is the tone of the Amethyst Genuine from Daniel Smith. This has a ton of granulation in there. You could probably see it from as far back as that camera is, but just the tone, the basic idea of it, and I do like that color, that Amethyst Genuine, Daniel Smith, beautiful color. So very similar in tone there. I do not have a grayish blue like this. If you just take the Payne's Gray from Core and just look at this section here, it's still, this is more blue. I really like this color. It's a beautiful color. I don't have anything close to it. This is a cobalt green from Core. This is what I'm used to. This is not like that at all, so it's a little bit different. Maybe, no, it's not even that way. It's just not the same thing. Now this Billard green reminds me of a Prussian green, and I do really like this color. A little bit different. There's a little bit more green here, but overall, it's in the same neighborhood. It's close. It's close to these, and I really enjoy this Prussian. This is a Daniel Smith Prussian green. Looks very similar to that. I love this Perylene green color. This is a slightly different shade. It's a little bit more green, and you can see when it's watered out, it's much greener here. But the darkness and deepness of this color, I'm going to use this color the same way I would use this. Dark deep greens, absolutely wonderful. That shadow green, perfect name for it. That's not really similar, is it? This is the Rosa Gallery green. This is just more greenish. This is darker, a darker tint to it, but it's, I guess, close. I might use them the same way or similar. Again, these are not the same, but this is the olive green from Core. It's my favorite green from Core is this color here. And this gets very close to it. It's a little bit darker, but I do love it. I think it's a great color. You can see a little bit in here how different it is in the lighter shades. But in the darker shades, you can see it's different. But it's close. I'd probably use them the same way. Let me show you how absolutely ludicrous this comparison is. This is the Mars Yellow from Daniel Smith. It's my favorite yellow ochre color. I absolutely love it. This is more like a Mars Orange, maybe. I would maybe call it that. But it's definitely not the Mars Yellow. Of course, this has the PY42 in it, which is the standard yellow ochre pigment. This does not have that color in it. It has a light Hansa yellow and then a red PR101. So it looks a little bit more orange. So that's probably why. But it's still a pretty color. Even the burnt orange, the quinacridone burnt orange from Daniel Smith, is more reddish than this is. This is more of a yellow in the lighter area, so it looks like a lighter orange. This is a Core Venetian red. See how much redder this is versus this version of it. But I'm going to try and find something that gets a little bit closer to that. It definitely has some granulation going on, but it's still different than this. This is the EF brown iron oxide. This, you can see all the granulation in here. Absolutely beautiful. but it's still a little, there's a little bit more red than that. Even when I do this, it's a little bit closer, but still, so this is more brown than these. This is an English red, and this is a Benzie burnt orange, and they're still, it's just a little bit, these are a little bit more red than this is. So this is more, so it's like an in-between. It's either a little bit more brown or a little bit more red, depending on what you put it next to. But still, beautiful color. I will use this. I absolutely love it. I'm sure I can find some other colors and some other sets, but I do want to mention that this is the supplemental set here. None of these colors really match too much into this. Maybe, well, they're close, but they don't really match. They're not exactly the same. They're not even in this. So if you have this set here and you want to get the supplemental set that goes with it, or the what they're calling the nuance colors, you may be able to fit these into this set very nicely. Or if there's some colors in here that you don't like, you pop them out and you put one of these in. I will be doing that because these two colors here were some of my favorite in the set. And let me tell you, let me show you the picture quick. Okay, so this was done with the supplemental set there, that nuance color set. And one of the things that I loved doing was dropping colors into each other and creating this kind of an effect. And I did that with all of these. And I'm gonna do that because they sit on top of each other, because they're so opaque. When you put one color into another color, it doesn't just blend out. It washes into it, and you have different, so there's a gray in here, there's a red in here, but the base was this light beige color here. So I took, I forget which one I put. It was one of these two colors I put down first, and then I dropped some of this in it, I dropped some of this in it, and I dropped some of one of these, either the gray, I think the gray in it, or the deep, the blue-gray deep in it. So something like that. And I put it in, and it just blends. It just, the way that it sits on top of each other is just absolutely beautiful. I love how it came out in this piece here. And I did it again here. So I did it, I had to do another one because I love the color palette. So even though it's a lot of pinks and fleshy colors, things that I don't normally do, things I don't normally use or like. And it's just, I love the way the colors blended. It's just absolutely wonderful. Now, let me show you something else. What I did is I took, I think I took this blue-gray deep, and I took one of these, I think it was the greenish yellow, and dropped that into it. And it made this beautiful color here. So you can blend these very nicely. They fit together beautifully. This is gray and pink in here. So it's just beautiful, and that's just with that set. So I cannot wait to try this set, and I'm gonna do the same or a similar thing where I'm dropping color into the other colors to see what kind of combinations I can get and see how it'll work. I think this will work out wonderfully. I cannot wait to try it. All right, let's get into the painting. Now I know this is called the Nouveau set or something like that. That's not how it's spelled. It's spelled Nouveau. And you have to live with me. That's just how it is. If you don't want to listen, you don't have to listen. But if you want to listen, you're going to have to deal with how I say things. So I'm looking at this, and I love how these work together. I love how they blend into each other and how they work. This palette is a little bit darker than the other palette. That other palette, I think these two need to be combined. That's why the title of the video is something about this set being bigger or something like that. Because I think the two palettes are so complementary, and I didn't add any of the other set into this one. I wanted to just do this color palette here, and it did come out a little bit darker and just a little different than the other ones did. But I'm going to put them together in another video. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the way this turned out. I just want to put them together and make a set with the combined two sets. And I might pick certain colors. I might leave some out and put some others in, but I'm going to put these sets together. I have a palette sitting waiting for them. All I'm going to do is take them out and put the little magnets on the back and stick them in that palette because that's what it's waiting for. It was waiting for Kuretake set. I don't have a regular, outside of the, the cardboard containers, I don't have that, but I was scared. I'm like, oh, I know what's going to happen. Kuretake has a history of, they have like a really great set that everyone loves and they discontinue it. They just stop making it out of nowhere. I didn't want that to happen to me, so I bought 2 of them. But I am going to get another one of the other set too, because I really enjoyed those colors as well. You put those 2 together, you have a beautiful set of colors that will work amazingly well together. I did a lot of color mixing here, so I'm looking at the painting. So anyway, I did a lot of different mixes here. Even some of the greens that I said I would hate, I still mix some of them in. And if you take the lighter green, that yellow green that I didn't like, but if you drop that into the darker green, it just smooths out and you actually get like a highlight of that darker green. These work wonderful together. I love how these Kuretake paints work. Now, I've never tried their regular set, their normal colors that I always like the specialty sets from them. Since I have a couple of minutes, I'm going to talk about something else because we know how the paint's going to go. I love it. It's wonderful. So I am going to do also a like my top 5 watercolors. I'm going to do that, but I want to try a couple more before I do that, before I set up the actual list, because people are going to get angry at that list. I guarantee it. Anyway, so every once in a while I do bring this up, but there's new people watching the show all the time, and I want to talk about it a little bit. So every once in a while I'll get some haters in the channel and they say some crazy things sometimes, and that's okay. And I don't discourage that. I encourage some criticism. I always encourage criticism. And people say, oh, you should ignore the hater. No, don't ignore the haters, because every once in a while, something that they say, now the way they go about it might be completely far off and they're lunatics, but there may be a little bit of truth in what they say. So you always take a criticism, you always examine it and look at it and say, is there, everybody has blind spots. Do you know that? Everybody does. I do. You do. Everybody has a blind spot where they can't see something. They're doing something, good intentions. They're trying to get it done. And sometimes it goes about the wrong way and it doesn't come off very well. But everyone has that in their life. That's a normal thing. If you're a human, it's normal, because your brain tries to protect you from the thing that you know you don't want to do something wrong. So you're trying to do things right, and your brain is kind of protecting you from seeing that thing that you could be doing a little wrong. And every once in a while someone points it out and they're like, oh, that's a valid criticism. It's just sometimes the way they go about it is not a valid way to talk to someone. It's not constructive in any way, but still the point that they make could be true. Now, the idea was, someone has said to me at one point, and I get these comments every once in a while, that I no longer do regular art videos. I only do product reviews, and that's all this channel is, which I don't think is a bad thing anyway. I don't think product review channels are bad. I don't think that's a terrible thing. As long as they're being honest, nothing wrong with it. However, here's the actual fact, is that when I did that painting of the rough sketch with the house and everybody was looking at that, that's the problem. Nobody was looking at it. The only people that do are the people who watch the channel no matter what. They watch every video. But most of the time, if I'm not reviewing a product, then most people are not watching. The people that watch all the other videos, the product reviews, they're not watching the art, actual art kind of content. And so here's how YouTube works, just so you know. When you go ahead and you put out a video and your core audience, the people who are subscribed to your channel, who watch your videos, if they don't watch the video, YouTube does not push it to other people. And I know that that's a weird, they say YouTube doesn't push anything, they pull it to the, just don't worry about that. The point is, if it doesn't get past your initial audience who already likes your stuff, they're not sending it to someone else who doesn't like your stuff already as a new thing. So usually when I do those kind of regular art videos, people that don't watch them, or people don't see them, I should say, because some other people are not watching them that maybe watch all the other art reviews, and so it doesn't get pushed to a lot of people. A lot of people, it's not visible to a lot of people. They don't see it. So some people say, all you do is art reviews. It's because they don't get to see the other the other videos because it's not sent to them because the only one they happen to click on is the art review. So that's all that's sent to them. It just didn't get there. They're not watching the other videos. Anyway, let me get to some of the insider stuff that I wanted to tell you about. When I first started the YouTube channel, people told me, hey, you should do an art channel and the first thing you should do is build up like a course and sell a course. I didn't want to do that. I don't like putting content. My whole goal for this channel is to encourage you to create something. And if I put that behind a paywall and maybe you don't have the money to pay for it, then you don't get the encouragement because you don't have the money for it. I don't think that's good. The point of this channel is to encourage everyone to create, whether you have $5 or whether you have $500 to spend on it. It doesn't matter. You get to create. And I want to have that community where everybody's interacting and everybody's creating together, and it doesn't matter how much money you have or what kind of supplies you have. Everybody can create here, and that's what I want to encourage. So I decided not to sell courses. That's what everybody does. All the art channels, they sell courses, or they do something incredibly, they do a course for a specific group, like a Patreon group or something like that. And I decided that I wasn't going to do that. Yeah, I appreciate all of my patrons. I really do. And we do some special things. Now we're going to do some more. I'm getting my computer up and running. We did one live stream. We're going to do some more. And those will be separate for Patreon, just a live stream to hang out and chat. I'm also going to do some live streams on this channel. I've said that 100 times. You haven't seen any of them yet, and you're thinking that I'm lying to you, but I'm not. We're getting ready to do it. Just relax for a second. So I still need to make money with the channel. And one of the things that I can do is do some product reviews. I can put some, let me tell you this now. There's something else you don't know. 95% of the reviews that I do on this channel, I don't make any money for those links. When you click the link and you buy, there was one of the brushes that I did, the golden maple with the Ed Grimley brush, the big round with the big spike out of the head. That one right there, I didn't make a dime. Dozens and dozens and dozens of you bought that brush. And I know because they told me. They said it was a very successful video. They enjoyed it, and they said a lot of people bought these brushes. I promise you, I love those brushes. I have them sitting up here, and I use them all the time. I absolutely love them. They're wonderful. I was telling the truth 100% on that. Every time, I always tell you the truth on that. I'm not lying about anything. If I enjoy something, I tell you. If I don't enjoy something, I tell you. But all those sales, I didn't get any of them. Now, if it's an Amazon link, if it's a standard Amazon link, not in the top part of the description, but down below where it says I make affiliate money, and it says it right there. If you click on it, I'll make some. That's where I actually make the money on those links, not on the top links. And I don't ask them to do that. What I want them to do is give you a bigger discount or sponsor a giveaway. That's more important to me than making a couple of dollars on an affiliate link selling a product that they're sending me. I really would prefer that if it's a good product, you can get your hands on it. So I say, instead of giving me a commission, can you give me a bigger discount for the audience, or can you do a giveaway or something like that? And most of the companies are like, yeah, we can do an extra coupon code, or we'll do a giveaway. And the companies that I work with have been very nice and very generous, and I appreciate that with them. I enjoy working with them. They're good companies. They really are. And if I run into a company where they're not so good, I don't work with them anymore. That's just how that works. Now, there was some people that said, oh, I went and bought something and the company didn't send it to me right away, or the company said that I didn't even place the order, but I eventually got the product. And so sometimes companies screw up, sometimes they don't get an order right, sometimes they lose an order, but the most of the time, it's that we're so used to the Amazon, like, quick fulfillment thing, and some companies don't even send like a response and say, hey, you placed an order. And then people panic. I understand. Not every company understands what other people are used to dealing with. So what they may deal with in their country or how they do things is different than the way we do things in our country. So maybe sometimes they don't do that, or the company's so big and so many different divisions, the person that took the order did not get it into the system in time to let this person notified of this. So you called the customer support and they're like, I don't have a record of your order. It was placed, they charge you the money, but it's there. And then after a little while, you see they catch up and they eventually send you your product, you get it. So it's difficult sometimes. We kind of struggle with that because we're so used to the immediate thing. And I get that. And if you want the immediate thing, you go to Amazon and that's where you buy it from. Or you go to your local art supply store if they carry it and you buy it from there. You walk home with it the same day you place it. That's the best way to do it if you can. But if you can't, Amazon's a couple days usually, or you go to another online art store instead of directly from the manufacturer. And always feel free to do that. You do not have to use the links that I post. I just have to post them in order to get the product so I can show it to you. And that's the agreement. Can you please post our link? And that's what I say. Yeah, there's no problem with that. The other thing is I don't read scripts. So they don't tell me, hey, you have to say this or it has to be favorable or anything like that. Most of the time, they don't even get the link to the video until after like the first day or later in the first day, after a bunch of you have already seen the video. And then sometime later, I might send it to them in like late afternoon or evening. I send them a link and say, oh, by the way, this is up today. So they don't get to look at the video. On occasion, I've had people ask can they look at the video before I post it? And I will do that. I don't have a problem with that, but understand whether you like it or not, it's going to go live. That's just how it is. So, and I've had companies say, oh, you're going to see soon, there's going to be a thing for artists. I'm guaranteeing you this because they've already contacted me. We're not doing it, but they said, oh, we have this thing. We're willing to pay you for it would have paid me. Well, we'll get there. But anyway, they will pay you for this show. Can you do a show for us? Oh, okay. Well, what do I have to do? Well, we'll send you the information. You have to have a script ready in 5 days. I don't do scripts. And then the script has to be approved, and then you have to do a video, and then the video has to be approved, and then you can put it out, and then we pay you your money. And I said, no, we don't do that. And then they upped it 3 times. And the last amount that they were willing to pay me would have paid more than I would have made in like 4 or 5 months on YouTube ads. But that's okay, because it doesn't matter. I don't do those videos. That's not how I work. And some of the things that they wanted me to say in the video anyway were a little questionable as far as their outlook on people in general. So that was questionable anyway. But anyway, it didn't matter. The point is, that's not how I work. That's not what I do. If that's what you're looking for, you're not going to get that. Now, if a company said, we'd like to sponsor a video, can you just say this about, when the product came out? Factual information, not opinionated information, but factual. This is when the product came out. This is the founder. This is how they figured out the formulation. And I don't mind reading that to you and telling you that information there. But I'm not going to sit there and say, these are great, and they're not, because I won't do that. That's dumb. It doesn't make any sense to lose my audience over a couple of bucks when the whole point of this is to grow the community. That's the point. Yes, I want to make a living with it. Yes, I want to make some money from it. I'm letting you know that right now. I plan on making money on this channel. However, I just want to do it the right way. I want to do it in a way that helps you and encourages you to do things and make money doing that. That's a wonderful goal to have, I think. Now, I'm very grateful because the last 4 months, I've hit that $100 payout from AdSense because of all of you watching the videos. And I really appreciate that. That helps me tremendously. I can pay some bills now. All the crap I've spent money on and computers and cameras, I can start paying that stuff off instead of selling something I have to try and buy that so I can do the video. So I really appreciate all of you watching and putting your time, investing your time into me. I hope you're getting value from that. That's the most important thing. Now, my goal is not to make all this money because of just from you. The point is not to sell you courses and sell you all this stuff. That's where I'm making the bulk of my money. my real goal, and which is why I don't ask for the commission stuff from these companies and I just ask for a bigger discount from you or whatever, is because my goal is eventually to have sponsored videos. To have video companies that say, look, we want to sponsor your video. We'll give you the product, but we're going to pay you to produce the video because of how much reach you have. And again, they won't be able to tell me what to say, but they'll still pay me for the review of the product. And that way I make my money off of the companies and still can provide you some value without charging you for it. That's the point of what I'm trying to do as far as how I'm trying to make money with this channel. Now, I'm going to also have some things that I have available to sell, like my original artwork is always for sale and it's on the website. And I'm terrible at self-promotion, but I'm going to be putting prints, and the prints are going to be, they're not there yet, they will be, but many of you have asked me for prints, and instead of charging you for every print, I didn't want to do that either, because people say, oh yeah, print or whatever. You order the print, and I have to keep stacks of them in my closet. I don't want to do that. So because then if you don't order the print, then I'm stuck with absolutely nothing. It just sits there, threw money away. So they have the print on demand services. You could order a print from them and then you get the print. But those places a lot of times are a little weird too, because they may fold it, like someone had bought something from Fine Art America of mine, a print, and they folded it. They put a crease. Why would you do that? It's artwork. You know how to handle artwork. That's what you do for a living. It's Fine Art America, and you screwed that up. So that's why I don't sell anything through them anymore. So here's my idea, is to sell digital prints. So I'm going to say, I'll sell you the file for a very low cost. You go get it printed wherever you want. You put it on a canvas, you put it on a board, you have it printed however you want, on a sheet of paper, it doesn't matter. You print it at home for all I care. It doesn't matter. You get some glossy paper, you print it out yourself and hang it up. That's fine. So for those of you who want prints, I will be doing that. It'll be on Patreon. And on Patreon, it'll be like a $5 tier. So for $5 a month, every video that I do of every painting, I will put up on Patreon, and you can download every single one of them. It's $5. That's a $5 tier, instead of charging you $5 per print. Now, if you don't want to say, you're like, oh no, I don't want to sign up for a continuous thing, that's fine, but I want that print. You just sign up for 1 month. You get the print, you cancel your thing. That's all it is. So you get it for $5. But otherwise, you would get as many prints as you want, $5 a month. I usually do 4 videos a month where I do some kind of paint. Now, sometimes I may not. There may be a video where there's no painting in it, and I can't put one up during that week, so that's fine. But for the most part, I do a painting in almost every video, and I will be putting them up on Patreon at some point. $5 a month, you get as many as you want, if that's something you're interested in. But I don't want to sit there and I want you to be able to get things you want, but I don't want to sit there and say, yeah, I'm building this whole thing on your back. I don't want to build this on your back. I want to build it with you. So let the companies pay for that, but you need more reach for that. So I've already come to the conclusion, there's about 6,000 subscribers now, maybe a little more. This channel is not going to be a huge channel. It's not going to be 100,000 subscriber channel or anything like that. It's just, I've seen the trend of how this is growing and the type of audience that we have here. It's just not going to get there. I may double in 12,000, maybe hit 15,000 subscribers, at most maybe 20. But that's roughly the limit for the channel as far as I can see. After several years now, well, 4.5 years now, and we're looking at like 6,000 subscribers. It's a little rough there. So I'm same thing every year. Some numbers go down and certain times a year, and that's normal. And I am improving every year, going up every year, and that's not discouraging to me. Don't think that I'm being discouraged by that number. There's a lot of people that are watching these videos, and I appreciate that. There's only so much of my time to go around too. So I want everybody to make sure that they can get a little bit of time as well, which is why I want to do the live streams with you guys, so we can have a little bit of time where we're actually communicating live instead of just on a video and then through comments, which I also love. I love talking to all of you through comments. It's a wonderful thing. But I'm just sharing with you my plans of what I want to do with the channel, where I think it's going, how I think it's going to go. You let me know if you think I'm 100% wrong. That's fine too. I could be. I've been wrong before. Have you ever been wrong before? It's happened to me. So I just want to make sure that what we're doing here, I don't go off the rails, which is why I bring up that main point of having a blind spot. Because as I'm building this, I can develop a blind spot. I can do something with right intentions and it ends up being the wrong thing for you, and I need you to speak up about it. So when I get a criticism from you, I look at it and I say, is this something that I have to be worried about? Is this something that I have to be concerned about? Even if it's something that I've heard 100 times and I've said no 100 times, doesn't mean that it didn't happen last time. So I always listen to what you say. Your opinion is very important to me. So make sure that you let me know everything you can. If you see something, if you don't like something, doesn't mean I'll change it, because I may completely disagree with you. I might look at it and say, nah, you're just being weird there. That's okay too. Some people are weird there. You could have a blind spot too. Everybody thinks a certain way about a certain thing. So that's just how it is. But at least you've told me, and I have heard your voice, and I can look at it and say, is this a possibility? So it's very important that you communicate with me, and I haven't really had a whole lot of time to go into that kind of stuff lately with the videos that I'm doing, but I wanted to do that this time. I hope that you will let me know as much as you can, just like these people popping up on the screen here. We talk together all the time. They let me know some things sometimes that I have no idea about, and sometimes they leave me comments over on Patreon, and I don't even see them for like 3 weeks because Patreon doesn't notify me that anybody's commenting on anything. I have to go look, and sometimes I miss it, and it's just a disaster. Anyway, thumb up the video if you are going to take a look at these Kuretake paints. That's what this video is about. I know you don't know that because of the conversation we just had, but these are beautiful paints. I love them. I highly encourage anybody, if you don't care about the light fast part, because a lot of these may not be light fast. So, and that's what I've heard about Kuretake paints. That's not their concern. So instead, they're concerned about having beautiful sets of paints, which I think they do very well. And I love this set. I will always love this set. And that's just how I am. So let's take a look at all these messes. I've been talking for a long time. I'm sure I screwed up plenty. So I didn't want to, what am I trying to say? And sometimes, we all have blind spots. Sometimes those things just poke us right in the eyeball. But we all have blind spots, and sometimes we're so blind we run straight into the wall. I don't want to say that either. I say words weird. I'm looking at the painting. I always look at the painting. I always tell you I'm looking at the painting. You're probably sick of hearing me say when I look down that I'm looking at the painting. So this isn't the piece I did. I'm looking at the wrong one. This isn't this video. This was last video. I'm not looking at the right thing. If you would like to join our community, go to illustrationsbypete.com. You can come in, you can put your own artwork on the site and promote it. You can find some inspiration in the free reference photos. You can just use them however you want in your artwork. You do not need to credit me. Or you can come into the forums and talk to some people and maybe give some advice and maybe find a little bit of information that helps you. So come check us out. All right, that's about it for me. I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next one.